Therese Snow is a 22-year industry veteran, colorist, educator, and co-owner of Casals Salon Collective in Arlington, Virginia. Today, we're going to hear all about her hair journey and how she became a salon owner. Welcome back to the Hairdresser Strong Show. I'm your host, Robert Hughes, and today I'm with Therese Snow. How are you, Therese?
Doing well. How about yourself, Robert?
I'm so good. Thank you. I'm very excited to have you on the show today.
Likewise.
So I have questions about the concept of the Salon Collective, but I think it's first very important to hear your hair journey, your story, and getting to where you are. A lot of our audience members are interested in becoming salon owners, but also some are just interested in knowing what different career paths have been like. So why don't you give us a little bit of insight into that story?
Yeah. So, I grew up in Ohio in the Rust Belt in a very blue collar town. And after college, I majored in English and I wanted to be a poet. And in a blue collar town, you're not really going to pay the bills doing that. So I had a lot of friends who were doing hair and quite successfully. And so I was inspired to go to beauty school after I earned my degree in English. And at the same time as beauty school, I was working in a salon, answering phones, but really taking in what was happening. And I had this wonderful mentor before she was even officially my mentor, as I was, learning, just really take me under her wing and share a lot of information. And I just watched her practice the craft with so much passion. And at the time, you're in your 20s and you think, oh my God, she's almost 50 and she's so passionate. And here I am nearing that age. And I'm like, damn, you could still be really passionate. So right out of beauty school, I started teaching for a color company, and education has always been at the core of who I am as a stylist. I started right away teaching for a manufacturer, just, kind of in salon classes, product knowledge. And then about 5 years into my career working at that salon, I was working with my sister-in-law. We worked next to each other, and I knew I was going to be getting divorced and knew I had to make a change. And so I started to research what's next. It's at that point in my career, I was 5 years in. You still have a little bit of I don't want to start all over, behind a chair, build an entirely new clientele. And so I started to teach. I applied and I left my behind the chair and spent 8 years working in an institute. It was an Aveda Institute in Ohio, and eventually the same company, we branched off and had a location in Las Vegas as well. So I had a lot of opportunity in developing curriculum, developing educators, and developing leadership. And that was an amazing journey for 8 years of my career in this field. And then in 2012, the owners of the salon and school said, we want to open in DC, in Arlington. I said, let's do it. And so I've been back behind the chair for 10 years now. And in 2020, I became co-owner. I have been working, they owned the Institute. So they're dear friends of mine, 17 years with them. And then in 2020, the founder, he's had salons for 30 years in Ohio, decided to retire. And now his husband and I have the business in Arlington.
Okay. Oh, so yeah. So I hear you talk about the Institute, but it also sounds like you're talking about salons as well. Is that right? Or
yeah. So it's called Casals Day Spa Salon in Ohio. We created a new brand when we came to this market. And when I took over, I rebranded. But Casals Day Spa Salon in Ohio, there are two huge salons there. And then at one point in time, we had two Aveda Institutes, so very ingrained in that world. And then we wanted to expand the market. The founder had ties to this area, really worked here, started his hairdressing career here, but really he's an artist by trade and just loved to be around art. So he decided to open here. And that's when I followed suit and came to manage and help build a team.
Okay. And so do you have, what is your relationship to the Aveda Institute in Arlington? Just out of curiosity, none or?
No, yeah. A lot of Aveda Institutes are privately held. And
okay.
So we had to for lack of it's a bad word. It's not technically a franchise, but we had two Aveda Institutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the one in Arlington is owned by Neil Corp, and they have a large presence in the Aveda Institutes, and they run amazing schools. So our relationship is, really just recruiting from them. And
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So, it sounded like your experience at you went to Ohio
I
and was at the Aveda Institute in Ohio
teaching. Yeah,
teaching.
I
Okay.
began. So after I left 5 years in the early stages of my career, I was doing really well. And then life events happened. I needed to make a change. So I began by being an educator. I took
Okay.
a major pay cut, a major step back. I mean, I went from making like a lot of money to $10 an hour. And that's what I love about this business is no matter how many times you fall back or think, I need a break or I want to start over, you can rebuild. And that's what I did. And then about a year later, I became the director of the Institute. And from there, that portion of my career took off. And
Okay.
then, yeah, and I still do. And then I teach currently I've always, even when we opened in Arlington, I taught for Aveda, but now I teach exclusively for Color Space Hair Color. So I travel North America on their team teaching hair color. So I still teach within the salon and outside of the salon as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have questions, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
let's see. You said Color
Yeah.
Space,
Yeah.
and then you said Aveda Institute.
Yeah.
I'm just taking a couple notes here for anybody
All good.
listening on podcast wondering what I'm doing. Okay, so Aveda Institute to salon owner or to stylist?
To stylist. So Aveda Institute, we left that, I left and we opened this in 2012 in Arlington. Huge move coming from, like I said, Ohio. We're from Youngstown, Ohio. Super, super blue collar. It was, wonderful culture shock moving to a, quote, city. And yeah, building a brand from the ground up. There was 5 of us stylists who came from Ohio. 2 of the young guys were our students at the school. We recruited them right out of school. And then Sarah and myself and William had been long-term members of the company doing hair. And we were, let's go, let's move, let's do something different. And yeah, we started.
Okay. Okay, cool. So I want to just jump back a little bit to get some answers to a couple of questions that I don't think you went over. Did you go to school for your license?
Yes, I went to school in Youngstown. It was an interesting journey in my hair world. It wasn't any program. The education was subpar,
Okay.
but my education happened at night when I was answering phones in that salon, watching these seasoned stylists. Some of them had been doing hair since they were, 16 in high school, and just really watching them create art and really the mastering customer service. I saw it every night, and then I saw the passion. So that's the majority of the bulk of where I obtained information while in beauty school.
Okay, so you were working in a salon while you were going to school.
Yep.
And how was that? Like, what was that like? Were you like, what was your schedule like at school compared to the salon?
I went to night school. I felt
Okay.
I loved it. Like I went to night school and then it was really flexible. So some days, the majority of the time I went at night, but then you could go during the day if you wanted to do something else at night. Like I said, it was very different than, going into the schools years later. Like, whoa, this is like legit.
Super rigorous and
Yeah,
strict on the
yeah.
schedule, right?
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
part, I mean, I loved the fact that it was, I had the ability to do that. I was, a little bit older than everyone else there because I had gone to college and I had rent to pay. So I needed to make money, and it gave me the flexibility to do that.
Cool. So just because we're on this topic, this is
Yeah.
something that comes up a lot with students. What is your recommendation for a student who is in school and they're let's just say, there's night schools and there's day school, and then there's different schools have different flexibilities and the other schools have less flexibility. What is your advice to somebody who really wants to work at a salon but finds it difficult or challenging in terms of this topic of flexible schedules? Do you have any thoughts or insight
Yeah,
or
I mean,
advice?
I think find the salon that's going to be flexible for you and go for it because it's invaluable what you learn, especially when you're in that learning mind of you're in school every day, whether it's book work, and then you go to your job at night where the same subject matter is being put into practice. It's truly invaluable. So I would find somewhere that's super flexible. We love that atmosphere. We honor that. And so at our location, we're very flexible because we want to show people, or, especially the next generation, this is what it is to create, art behind a chair. This is where your passions can lead. And the earlier you get your foot in the door, the quicker I feel like your track can go.
Totally.
Sure.
I totally agree with that. Okay. So you go to school, you're working in a salon while you're in school, you get out of school, and tell us a little bit about that first part of your journey before you went into being educated. Can I open that up a little bit?
So I finished school, and because I had been working at the salon, I knew I was going to work with those gals. And so I started officially assisting. Karen was her name, and she was amazing. And so I assisted her consistently, probably about 4 months, 5 months before I started to take on my own clients. And she worked like, I put on her retouches, I glossed. So it was a tandem sort of environment, which was really, for my type of learner, really awesome. I was able to grasp a lot of, information. And then when I got on the floor, I mean, I jacked some stuff up because it was early. It was, so I'm like, oh, but the atmosphere was so like, I need help. I think I just really screwed this haircut up, and someone would come. So it was a great beginning of my career with, 3 of the women had been hairstylists in the heyday of the 80s. So they really knew how to hustle and to smooth over the gas. It was just so many different aspects of what I carry on today came from that salon. I'll be forever grateful.
Nice. I like to hear stuff like that. So you're assisting, and you get the transition during your assisting or your assisting period. Did you have classes, or was it a lot of?
Yeah, it wasn't a salon that had an organized education program like we see a lot today. But constantly going to shows, or constantly, this is in New York, this is in Columbus. We were constantly, I want to say 5, no exaggeration, 5 to 6 times a year going places where
Nice.
we went to John Sahag. We went to these big names now that I'm like, oh man, I forgot about this, right at the end of my assistantship, we actually came to DC for a week, and I took a cutting class at Graham Webb for an entire week, the British Foundations or whatever it was. And so we spent a week, and I mean, that was a big investment of my own money into my career at the point when I really wasn't making that much, but it was worth it.
That's awesome. I used to teach at Graham Webb.
Oh, it's great. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great school. Okay, so all right, so I love this so far. I feel like this is like so much great information, especially for like the rising stylists. And so were you working on models and stuff like that during this time, or was it just assisting and going to these shows and classes and stuff?
Yeah, and I would say unofficial models like friends and.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
And then I think like even she would have me do like her clients' kids, like even in color. Oh, he wants something fun, like so. But nothing laid out or nothing official.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So it was kind of thrown in, but at the same time, I felt supported in that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So then you go in, and then you're doing hair there for how long?
About 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
And that's when you had the life changes that ended up at teaching at Aveda.
Yeah, so the largest salon in the area was Casals, and it was an Aveda lifestyle salon. So it was very different for the area. It was departmentalized. It was very intriguing to me. But at the same time, it was intimidating to walk into a salon like that and just start over. I had to balance, financially, can I take that step back Probably could have, but I wanted something completely stable, which was, oh, they own the school. Let me start there. And so I applied for a teaching position and started teaching there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so as far as getting into education, what would you say the best part and the worst part about being an educator
Educator
is?
on the institute level or in
Yeah.
the field. Okay,
How about both?
Okay.
Okay.
First, the institute level, the best part is for me, even when I was directing and had to do a lot of the officey stuff, it was that passion that's on the floor. It was the spark in someone's eye when they got it. It was the stress of like, no, we could do this. We can, it was just so, we had a very busy clinic floor. So we saw a lot of people. And so we were able to coach on spot and really work with the students. And yeah, I loved that aspect. I would leave anything, a meeting or whatever. If I saw a student needed help, I connected to that because we were all there once. But I think it's important to, especially in that type of town, it was a way out for a lot of kids that maybe didn't think they had any other option. And so I really wanted to make sure that they thrived. The thing I hated, or I shouldn't say hated, the thing that I disliked is the bureaucracy, the funding, the having to meet, and then the schedule, and you can only miss these days, and well, everybody has a story. For me, that was a very hard part of leadership was, I empathized with these kids who had a lot going on at home, whether it was their own children or, family issues. It was, so that part, it doesn't resonate with me. It didn't, it stopped resonating with me. And frankly,
Uh,
the founder of our company, it's one of the reasons we got out of the institutes. It just started, we would just like to jam out hair. We like to, we used to teach razor cutting by charcoal drawing. Let's think about how light we're using our hands, or we taught hair color with watercolor and oil. So we kind of had this really cool vibe going. And then, as the regulations started coming stronger and stronger at technical schools, we were like, nah, let's get out. So
yeah, that seems to be something that's been coming up more and more and more as I've dove into the hiring of Gen Z and trying to kind of pick apart some of the challenges that the industry has, and that what you're talking about, with the schools having all these rules to follow and how that impacts their education and their ability to take advantage of opportunity while they're in school.
absolutely.
Yeah, maybe that's a conversation for another day.
I would
But
love it. Sure, yeah.
so okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna write a
Yeah.
note down. Okay, so telling me about what's your favorite part and what's your least favorite part about being an educator in the field, and can you also tell us what you mean by in the field?
Yeah. So for other brands, I have done this, but currently I teach for Color Space. It is a newer hair color on the market in since last year, and so I travel North America, so Canada and through the U.S. teaching. Whether it's typically at this point it's new accounts or revisiting old accounts or bringing in anything from a discovery day, which is just here's the product, here's what we can do, to hands-on technical courses. So in the field is like, where am I at this weekend? Where am I teaching?
Like traveling to other
Yeah,
salons. Okay,
yeah. And
got it.
I love about it is really connecting. And what I love about working with Color Space versus the brand I was with before is that we're in concept salons, we're in commission salons, but we're also in independent salons. And so I love connecting with every single type of stylist out there, whether they're in a huge salon by themselves, and really just it creates this little bit of community that is passionate about hair color and just so happen to be using the same color. So I love that part. And the thing that gets old sometimes is the travel, but I'm a sucker for it because it gets you out of it, kind of breaks the monotony. And
Totally.
and going into other salons, you have like one or two reactions. You're like, oh my God, I love that idea. I'm going to borrow that. I'm going to borrow that. Or like, okay, my team's good. I'm good. When you're in it all the time, you're like, oh my God, everyone's driving me nuts, or look at, we should rearrange this. And then I'm like, nah, we're good. We're good. So I love that aspect of really taking a glimpse at the industry as a whole through these
Yeah.
little windows of opportunity. So
I like that. So from your perspective as a salon owner, you get to get ideas from other people, but also get to see like areas where you maybe have some strength points, and
yeah,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
I've met some great salon owners. There's a handful of us that connect all the time, and really trying to make a difference and change. We are a commission structured salon, so we are trying to really appeal to Gen Z, to everyone. And so it's nice to meet other owners who are on that path and aren't stuck in a mindset that is not conducive to this next generation or to the world today, really, post COVID.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about like how you decided. I know you kind of went over it high level in the beginning, but could you tell us a little again how you decided that it's time to become a salon owner, and maybe like a little high level introduction to your salon?
Yeah. So it was, mid 2019, and I had been, back behind the chair since 2012. And when we first opened, we're starting a business in a very expensive area of the country. So we worked 5, 6 days a week. I mean, we would be at the metro with a massage chair handing out information. So for maybe like 2012, at least 4 straight years, it was heads down to the grind mode, building the brand, building the salon. We were fortunate that within the first year we were building a name for ourselves and booked, and really great response from the community, super supportive community. And so in 2019, my now business partner approached me. He was the co-owner at the time with his husband, and said, Tom wants to retire. Do you want to go into partnership? And I was like, yeah, let's do this. I put in a lot of years as a stylist, as a manager, as an education lead there. And when we first opened, you feel really that, like I said, there was 5 of us and 2 of us are still working behind the chair today. You feel really involved and committed. I'm like, yeah, it's part of who I am at this point. So, and he's taken a step back. So he is a silent partner. Basically, he handles all the back end, the billing, the payroll, all of that. And I am working with the culture, the stylist, really, everything that happens within the salon.
I got a question, and you can answer it however you feel comfortable answering it. But I feel like I get some questions, and I feel like there's not a lot of answers to certain types of questions. Like, was it pretty, like you're buying into another business? Was this a pretty large capital expense for you?
Um, no,
No.
not up front. It was, we have had a good situation in which we made it work for me and for them at the same time. And so it wasn't anything major up front from my
Okay. So you worked
perspective.
it out like something over time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice. So
Yes.
that's good to hear. Everybody out there that's listening, that's wanting to buy into a business, or maybe become partners or start up something. There you go. There's
Yeah.
you have the opportunity to not necessarily, you can make something kind of go over the course of time, or buy in over time, or I don't know,
Yes,
feel free to,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, it just really, buying in over time. And there was a period of years in which we have an arrangement, and it really worked for both of us
nice.
financially, and it worked for me in, no risk in that sense, like of a huge financial burden. And I'm very grateful. And they honored my longevity with them, 17 years. And that is one of the reasons, obviously, why it worked out. And so I'm super grateful for that. To
Yeah, I
be,
would say that's kind of hard to come by. I feel like when it comes to
yeah,
business transactions like that,
yeah,
things can get pretty cut, like, black and white, cut dry, and like being like,
yeah,
okay, well, this is the value. If you want to buy in, this is how much it is. It's like
yeah.
you
Well, we
either
took
have
a
it or
look.
you don't.
Yeah, we did that. We looked at the value, and then we came up with a figure, and then we worked out
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us about the time cost commitment of once you became owner. Like, tell us a little bit about. Okay, so you
Yeah.
got the financial stuff. You worked out a deal that worked for you, and what I think a lot of stylists, I really want them to understand is just how much work it is
Oh
as a
yeah.
salon owner of opening up a new salon.
Yeah, and I mean, even though we were well established in buying in, one of the caveats, one of the cherries that attracted me was his partner was retiring and wanted to focus on painting and traveling, and there's an age difference between them, and so my business partner was like, I want to travel with him, so I want to step away. I'll still handle the things that aren't in my wheelhouse, the payroll, the regulations, the taxes. That's him, and so I said that's fine. So in that we have an arrangement where he's silent partner, technically, but we still work together. We've managed together for years. So yeah, I forget where I was going.
No, I was saying, talking about the time that
Oh
it
yeah.
takes, the amount of
So
work it takes.
yeah, so 2020 is January 2020. We had a meeting, we
Oh man.
announced it, and then March hit. And it was
Yeah,
like,
I did.
yeah, I was like, and I was literally like, this is my luck. This is what's
Oh,
happening. But what was wonderful, what was, everything was shitty at the time, as we all know. We closed down for um 14 weeks, I think. And the thing that came out of it was a new perspective on the business. It allowed me a pause in which I can really start to rotate the business to where I wanted it to go, which was different than how it was organized before. And it really brought our team together as, okay, we got to work together. And so it became a true collective. And so then I did change the name. I think it was June-ish, July-ish or something of 2020, and change the logo, change the name, and started to rebrand from there. It takes a lot of time. It's like, there's no joke. There's like days where I'm like, man, if I could just go back to work and doing color and not have to deal. And it's not even, I have an amazing team. It's not, there's no drama. It's just like, oh, I got to get this on Instagram, or, oh, I make sure they called back. Oh, should we offer extension? Should we do this? It's really keeping a pulse on what's happening as in the industry, what's happening with your own salon, what's happening with the future of the industry, and how can we balance all of this to be successful. So it is
and you got a full book, right?
oh yeah.
Do you work full time behind the chair?
Yeah, I work three days a week behind the chair, open to close. Yeah, so like
Okay.
3 times. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, nice. So you get, okay, cool. So uh you're right, you're working more than 50%. You're working 3 days a week and full days, so it's not like you can get anything done. So it only leaves you with like 2 days, maybe three if you're working 6 days a week to do all the other stuff.
So I teach. So I'll typically leave to teach maybe on a Saturday, or if I'll either teach away from the salon on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I work behind the chair Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I have Wednesdays as my admin day within the salon, or I'm here at home office, kind of doing stuff. So I have a day set aside to do that. I did in 2021 hire a GM to help me
Nice.
organize. Yeah. And really, she had a background in the industry. I knew her. She helped us with the previous brand open our salon. She was a sales director. And I knew I could count on her for the things that I'm not so focused on, which is, helping to grow the front desk. It's not that I'm not focused, but she's better at that. So it's really finding, as an owner, that's what I love about the term collective. It's not a one person show. It takes all of us to really keep the heartbeat going.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think this has been a great and very informative and educational story so far. I would like to, next time we talk, I would like to dive in and learn more about your salon, the hiring process, what you're looking for, what you offer, and all the details. I really like you to expand on this collective concept. But let's do that next time we talk. And to wrap it up, I'd like to end with a laugh. If you and ask my guest if they have an embarrassing moment, something that was not funny at the time, but you could turn around and laugh at it then as it pertains to their career. Did you have something like that?
Oh yeah, it was in the very beginning when I was assisting my first, when I was assisting Karen. And, I had done waxing maybe once, and she's like, oh, just, wax her brows. And, you want to be confident. And then that, early 25-year-old, you're like, yeah, I can do it. I removed her eyebrow, and it was like a weekly client. I had to see this lady every week. I mean, I felt like,
oh my gosh.
I look back now and I think of like how nice that she didn't there was like a little piece left, but it was, now I look back and I'm like, granted I never waxed again, but
I guess she just drew it on.
Yeah. Karen came over and drew it on, and she was like, oh, it's fine. We won't.
Did you wax the other one? So looks the same?
I had to look at it for a year and a half while I grew back.
Oh my God.
And at the end, like when it started growing back, the woman was very fun, like made a joke about it as well. I was like, thank God. But I couldn't look at her. It was bad.
That's so good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I definitely look forward to having you on the show again to learn more about your salon.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you're listening on podcast, please give us a rating and follow us. If you're watching on YouTube or Instagram, please leave a comment below and subscribe, like, follow, all that good stuff. It helps support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything. Until next time, bye-bye.